Storks of Rovbitsk. From time immemorial, storks and people have lived together in the village of Rovbitsk. Well, together or not, but adjacently, like neighbors. That's for sure, like neighbors, they built houses, earned their daily bread, raised their babies. If you ask anybody in Rovbitsk, do you like storks? They would just shrug their shoulders in surprise. This is like asking, do you like the river, the forest, or the air? The villagers await the arrival of storks in spring. It is not like awaiting the return of a ship to the seaport, of course. More quiet. There are plenty of other things to do. This is like waiting for grandchildren on holiday. They are sure to come. Where else would they go? But still, it is exciting. And neighbors tattle who the storks have flown to and who haven't. Who was the first to spot a stork? And what was the stork doing? The flying first stork is one thing. The one walking on the ground is a completely different story. Every inhabitant of Rovbitsk interprets the meaning behind folk beliefs associated with storks in their own inimitable way. But no matter what they tell you about the influence of white storks on the general routine of the village, it all boils down to one thing. A white stork in a Rovbitsk house is the bringer of good and joy. Like in any other state, Rovbitsk has everything of its own. It also has a hereditary cooper named Nikolai Yosifovich Gvai. This year he has turned 75. He has been making barrels, 65 of them. You know, my parents used to live here too. And my grandparents and my great-grandparents. The Gvais have been here always. Nikolai Yosifovich Gvai has lived in this village, in this house, on the outskirts of Rovbitsk all his life. Lyubov Petrovna Gvai has been a straightful and rightful hostess of the house for 50 years already. The children and great-children celebrated their golden wedding this year. When asked if the storks like the people of Rovbitsk, Nikolai Yosifovich answers happily and without a shred of doubt. Well, the storks love the Rovbitsk people too. They are special people. There are no others like the Rovbitsk dwellers. It is all cultured around here. Once you come here to visit, you will always want to be back. They will never miss a chance to call here. A couple of white storks landed in Gvai's yard 5 years ago. The stork settled itself on these woods. My neighbor destroyed the nest and fixed this trestle or so that the bird could nest up on it. But the stork wouldn't and got back to the stack of woods, dragging the nest here. And he did. I said to the neighbor, let it stay where it is. Storks wouldn't come to live to a bad person. They're just good people. This year the birds haven't showed up long. They flew late. What kept the Gvai storks on the flyway from Africa to Rovbitsk, Nikolai Yosifovich does not know. But they did fly back, and they have baby storks again, a cause for celebration. While the mother stork is hatching, the host of the nest brings straw and twigs, trying to improve the architecture of their dwelling. What does he make the nest of? He picks up all these small sticks, and he fetches them all the time. He fetches everything. First they lay small sticks, then some hay and spread it carefully. When the nest is ready, you can't destroy it at all. That's it. It looks like this time the stork's building enthusiasm will melt away, together with the remains of straw in his nib. A yard is the core turf in the village. Everything begins from here. The village life, alternating people and storks, revolves around the yard as if it were the eye of the storm. There's no other way about it. To have to graze geese, yes. You have to keep an eye on those turkeys and greet incoming transport. The important thing is to stay alert and away from the wheels of cars. Chickens also belong to the yard and deserve attention. You have to see to it that things are in complete order around the yard. In the morning, a rustic life spreads from the yard over the adjacent fields and meadows like the spring tide. In the afternoon, it is vibrant and dynamic. Everybody, young and old alike, are busy doing very serious things. They mow, rake, look for food. A summer day is long, but it also comes to an end. Then storks and villagers slowly begin to draw back to their yards one by one, to where their loved ones wait for them in nests and homes to return. How idyllic, you would say. Sweet fairy tale? Well, you are wrong. The life in Rovbitsk is not like in a fairy tale, it is very real. Even white storks fight with each other here as any place else for that matter. They are fighting and flying around when they are back here. First one is here, then another one. The third stork is persistently sticking to them, and they turn each other out. That's the way it goes. Why they do it, I don't know. It must have been the nest, or something else, I just don't know. It is wrong to solve the housing problem by force. Any house on Earth is a fortress, and it is practically impossible to take it by storm. Perhaps it is better to save strength and build a house of one's own. The Belarus Pusha begins 5 kilometers away from Rovbitsk. It is Europe's oldest and wildest forest. But for Nikolai Yosifovich, it is not wild, but very close, like anything that grows, flows and runs around Rovbitsk. He comes to the forest to find a peace of mind, observe animals, touch the bark of century-old trees. And also to find out how a gayster is doing. This is how they call the stork's most unsociable cousin, the black stork. He chooses the solitude of the pristine oak grove, not a village yard, to make his nest. And it is not turkeys and chickens who keep him company. Everything is fine, as you can see. The black storks have 2 babies. They are still covered in white fluff, but in several weeks' time, it will turn into firm black feathers. But it will happen only in a couple of weeks. Meanwhile, things are in the hands, pardon, in the beaks of their parents. They bring food, guard, keep them warm, protect from any disaster, even when it rains. From sun till rain, from dusk till dawn, the life in the village of Rovbitsk follows an unhurried and meaningful course. 1 full month has zoomed by unnoticed since the time we made acquaintance with the peace and place. The baby storks gave grown bigger, giving more trouble to the parents. Then these summer rains. Every stork knows that it is 10 minutes as hard to catch frogs in the rain. But even the rain is powerless to cancel everyday village chores, to build, to fetch, to feed. Every meal is a repast, a ritual, if you will. It has to be observed. Eating traditions are simple in the stork's home. If you collected frogs, snails, leeches, then you are ready to feed the younglings. Good job. But don't be too hasty to fly back to the nest. First, pick up some grass. As you earn the daily bread, remember about the solid foundation of your house. And don't forget that the hedgelings are interested to peck at what you have in your crop, not at you. Well, once the dinner is over, make sure to raise your head high and crackle with your beak solemnly. Oh boy, it was a good table. So he hatched those nestlings, but they wouldn't fly away for a long time. The parents kept bringing them food all the time. They were giving much to one of them, but the other one didn't have enough food. You know. What for? You know, he was the weakest, I believe. Had he been stronger, he would have been flying around. The parents cannot leave them as they are belated. Okay, they are flying off. If the little storks are flapping their wings, it has stopped raining. Nikolai Yosifovich now can continue to ply his trade of barrel making. A small pine tree. It has a nice coniferous smell. What a beauty. I had a nice job then. Used to rusticate then. Well, you go to the canal and work there trying to do your daily output. The canal was 7 kilometers long. I was doing it before lunch and after it, by home to make those barrels. The swarms were all around here, but now you can hardly hear anything, only that lapwing cries. This is lapwing. The people of Rovbitsk call it kniga, originated from the Belarusian knigovka. Nikolai Yosifovich feels sorry for the Rovbitsk mires. They used to stretch as far as the eye could see with plenty of water and fish, animals and birds. There used to be far greater numbers of storks. The man drained nearly all the mires, but who benefited from it? The day is drawing to its conclusion in Rovbitsk. Houses are in order. It is time the host got back home, because the hostesses are waiting. The host is late, but a visitor has stopped by, and a long-awaited visitor it is. His name is Nikolai Cherkas. He is an ornithologist from the Belarus Puszcha. Nikolai visits Uncle Kolya for no particular reason. But twice a year he comes to see the storks rather than people on a very important mission, to issue them bird passports. These rings will always tell you where the bird came from, how old it is, and where it was born. A passport is a passport, even if you are a stork. Nikolai has ringed various birds in his life, so he knows their habits very well. Ringing 2 baby storks living in Nikolai Yosifovich's yard is duck soup to him. That's it. Farewell. By the middle of July, there are increasingly more younglings in the yards of Rovbitsk. Baby storks are growing up, children and grandchildren of the hosts come to visit. How can one not come or fly to the parents' nest? There is more freedom here than in the city. children of most of the adults are ready to leave the nests already. Ours are still busy constructing. It is almost August. Time to harvest the grain and fill the garners. After all, the family is large. Nikolai Yosifovich and Lyubov Petrovna have 4 children, 8 grandchildren and great-grandchildren. How many storks have flown out of this yard is hard to tell. How many barrels have been made? This is the right house, the real one. Storks are doing fine here, and people are facile in everything they do. Could it be any different? One cannot help thinking, maybe there is no need to leave such a nest. There is so much grass, sun and sky around. The closer the autumn is, the more self-confident one becomes. They tried their wings, strong enough, and back to the parents' home. It is safe, comfy, and the food is good. In time, the young begin to feel cramped in the parent home. They are lured by the wind of adventures, the wind of change, and they need to build a nest they can call their own. The parents have to wait for their children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren to return, at least for a day or 2. They fly away, storks and people. But it won't be long before they all come back to their home nests. Then there will be gracious living again, with a lot of laughter, a lot of singing and vociferous children. The host will be young and battlesome, as if he were 25, and the hostess tender and charming as always. They are calling often and asking about health. Stop boasting. I am boasting because all can see my children and the way they are. Sure they are yours, they don't know mine. Our children coming here to take care of us, sons and daughters-in-law, and especially grandchildren. Let's count if they are all here tonight. 8, all coming to the house. We miss them when they go. Do all of them have their own nest? They do. And who helped, father and mother? Yes, we did. We load their bags with what we have and to the trunk of the car. And they say, thanks, that's enough. Or the car won't move. Come on, take it all with you. Drive slowly and that will be fine. A couple of bags and some sacks, potatoes, apples and milks, of course, if there is some. A bit of this, that and the other. The happy home. And all of this probably because the storks live here. And also because people and birds here are inseparable. They are like one invisible life. The life created for the children, the happiness, the future. Every year in early autumn, storks, who seem to have left the village already, suddenly decide to return to their seemingly useless nest, at least for a couple of hours, before the departure to faraway warm shores. They will stand in silence, look round, fix the twigs on the house. And why do they need all that? To make sure the house will hold.